What up, everybody? How are you guys doing today? Um, so just wanted to share a couple things with everybody today. We're going to be covering the game of life, and me being a natural gamer since birth, right? I love to equate life to a video game because essentially that's what it is. And we have to look at the attributes of a video game, right? And how can you design your life and to be able to look at it through this type of psychology where life becomes just as addicting as a video game, and understanding the rules of the game and how to manage your quests and side quests and how to focus your attention and awareness so you can, get to where you want to be in life. It's directly tied to, everything that you experience. So, what up, everybody? What up, Mary Velez? What up, Ava? Say. So, like I said, we're covering the psychology of life as a video game, and like I said, anybody who has ever played video games, been really, really deep into video games, I promise you, if you use this type of psychology, life will become very, very enjoyable. It'll become, a lot more meaningful. And what constitutes a video game? Like, what makes a game? Like, what do you need to play a video game? What up, Raquel? How you doing? So, um, a couple things you need for the video game. One, you need a console, hardware, a computer, right? You need an operating system. You may need an internet connection. You may need, all these different things, right? So what are these things in relation to us and who we are, right? So the hardware, the console, it's your physical body. That's your that's what you're using, right? That's your hardware, right? And you gotta take care of the hardware. You can't let the hardware just like sit around and collect dust or whatever, because it literally just will stop working if you don't take care of it and maintain it and keep it clean, right? Same thing with the physical body. It's very important to see that, the basis of that, you know, before we get any deeper. Now, what is the operating system, right? The operating system is more so that's your astral body, that's your soul, that's your belief structures, that's the things that's been implanted in you since birth. This is how you interact with the game of life is through these belief structures, right? And this is what we're developing, is developing that, because that is the basis of the game that you're playing. But the beautiful thing about the operating system and the programming is that you can always change it. And how do you change it? How do you update it? How do you run those updates or downloads, as people like to say nowadays? Is through the mind. The mind is essentially the internet, right? So we have our hardware, the physical body, we have our astral body, the soul, our belief structures, our emotional attachments, right? The way that we choose to view the world, right? And we access higher levels of updates and extensions and patch notes and everything else, right? Um, through the mind, through the internet, and it can tune into any type of information throughout time and space. And this is what we're working with, right? Now, who's the character in your life? Now it may seem like, oh, it's just me, right? Not necessarily. The character is the identity. You are the player. You are the awareness of the identity of the character, just like in a video game. It's a literal thing, you know. So one of the things that kind of trips me out sometimes is how people will play video games. They'll get super engrossed into a video game. They'll get addicted to the video game, and they'll have this character that they spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours building. This character has all the best attributes. They have all the coins and rings and everything else that you can achieve, all the skills, all the items and everything else, but they won't put that same time and effort in doing it for themselves. Yeah, all that XP. And one of the things that made me come into this realization is, in the past, I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer at heart. So in the past, I would play Warframe. Warframe is still a really popular game. Destiny is basically a bootleg version of Warframe. So if you ever played Destiny, Destiny 2, or anything like that, they stole the whole premise from Warframe, 100%. Anyway, in this game, you have your character, right? You can pick your character, your Warframe. It has certain attributes and abilities and skills and everything else. In this game also, they have a market system. You have to grind to get the items and stuff you need. In order for you to make it to new levels, you have to get experience points and learn new skills and everything else, just like life, just like life. I think I went into this game and I put, I don't know, about 1,000 hours into this game until I realized I could be using the same time and energy to bring it into the physical realm, to have the same outcomes in this physical realm, especially with the marketplace on there, because they have a currency system. Most video games do. They have some type of currency system in which you can literally exchange real world money to buy items and things like that, right? Now, this marketplace system in it, it's commerce. It's literally business. It's the same way that real life business functions. There's no separation or way to distinguish running a literal business and selling and operating items and stuff like that in this video game. It's the literal same thing. And I found myself spending so much time grinding and getting all these different things. And it dawned on me one day, it's like literally I could be doing this in real life. Like, why am I wasting my time in this digital creation, right? When I can apply the same literal skill, the same literal amount of experience and mental and emotional energy, just putting it into the physical realm. So applying that same concept idea, boom, but engaging the physical world with my physical body to have the physical manifestation of what I'm doing in this video game. Same thing. Same exact thing. So the moment that dawned on me, and like I said, this was, I don't know, what is it, 2024 now? I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that. So once I started doing that, okay, cool. Let me apply these same skills. Oh wow, this is how commerce works. This is how, let me you know, get into business, right? But seeing how, that video game was fulfilling certain aspects that my psyche, my mind, my emotions seeked as a natural human being. Um I was getting fulfillment from it through the video game, but not taking the physical action to get the physical manifestation of what I was achieving in that game. That's how video games work. That's why people become addicted to video games, right? They're literally designed to fulfill a certain part of you. We are hardwired to fulfill goals and to get feedback when we're achieving our goals, right? And that's how video games function. But just like in the real world, when you see a goal, right, you start heading towards that goal, you gain experience. You start working towards that experience. You gain more skill during that, and you literally begin to unlock new levels in life, and your mind begins to expand. The type of information and data that you begin to see and interact with, and begin to see the pattern recognition in order for you to take advantage of opportunities, it begins to change based off of that same premise that this video game is made off of. Just like when you go through a video game, you get the information, cool. You see the patterns, okay, cool. This is how I do that. This is how I use this specific skill to make it through this level, and I gotta dodge this enemy and do every life is the exact same thing. The exact same thing. It's the same thing. Now, when we're looking at our character development, right? We're looking at, how to customize your character, right? How do you want to customize your character? In the beginning, one thing that brings a lot of people dis-ease and a type of unfulfillment within their life is that in the beginning you had no choice on how your character was developed. Everything that you learned as a child going into adulthood was what was, your product of your environment. You learned the things to survive. You were literally cultivated, and the data and information that was given to you was meant for you to be on this narrow path and specifically for your survival. And no matter where you're from in the world, that information is going to differ, but it still has the same premise. It's going to be shaped by your culture, religion, parents, school, whatever it is that fits that immediate environment. The thing about this is it's all subjective, and it's all your personal experience. So one of the things when you begin to get into the higher levels, right, and there's a part of your spirit that kind of pulls you and say, okay, there's something missing, right, because you haven't created your character and cultivated your identity and character to fit your purpose. And we always have this pull towards that, so we can fulfill our purpose in the game. In the beginning, you're going through the tutorial. until you get to the point in which you take the conscious effort to change the attributes and to see your character and to build your character based off of who you truly are and what you want to achieve and experience. That's awakening. That's awakening. And then you kind of mold your game, right? And reprogram and rewire your use the cheat codes, right? To change the attributes in order to make your character exactly who you want it to be. But you have to get to that level. And sometimes it's good that you get to the point that, everything just crashes around you. You got to die a couple times, in order for you to see that or even want to, you know, go into character development and building that XP and gaining those skills and everything else, you know. And this is a beautiful, aspect of it, right? So once you get to the part where you develop your character, once you got to look back at what makes your character your character. What part of your character and identity do you have to let go of and release? Because like I said, most of it's from, survival, and most of it is subjective and not grounded in truth. It's just what you do. It's something that served your purpose for your survival at a certain time, but lots of it we have to let go and release because we no longer need it, you know and most of it's, like I said, cultural. Most of it will be from your parents, from religion, from society, from, all these different things. And it's different depending on where you grew up at, you know. So look at that and look at the things that don't serve you and can put you in a box. The name of the game of life is expansion. That's the nature of the entire game. Everything in the entire universe expands and grows and evolves. And, you should seek to do the same because that's what's going to bring you fulfillment, but not until you get to the point in which you decide to create your own character and pick the attributes that you want your character to have. This is what's going to bring you fulfillment. We are hardwired for this. This is a part of who and what we are. So you have to take control of it. Everything in the game of life that you've been playing so far, everything in your life is literally the results of how you've played the game, the choices you made in the game. If you chose to go on any side quest, if you chose just to stay on the same level, the game doesn't get fun if you're just staying on level one. If you're just staying on level one and everybody around you's on level one, you the NPC. And people say it all the time. Literally, you're the NPC. You're the guy that, you're standing off to the side with a couple potions or whatever. Somebody comes up, they talk to you, boom, that's it. And that gets repetitive. That's when we get into a space where, like I said, life is not fulfilling when we're in that level. Or some people may have gained experience points, right? But may have developed certain character flaws and like bad character image where can be in a higher level, but they don't feel that they, can meet the challenges of the next level. So they're, a level 50 player that's on level two and the game doesn't become fun. You know, the difference between life and a video game and the way that video games are designed, the primary difference is between that is in life, we have a lot more distractions. Video games are designed for it to be there's very little distractions. You pattern recognition, the way our mind works, you can see the information that's presented to you, how you can use that information through your direct cognitive, alignment and pattern recognition, and you follow that, right? In real life, we have a lot more data and information that we got to battle with, and there's tons of distractions. So how do we alleviate this so we can design our game so we can look past the distractions? This is where meditation comes in. This is where designing and developing higher levels of mental spiritual strength, the ability for you to focus on a particular task or goal, right, and to get that thing done. And in the beginning, you're developing habits. It becomes subconscious. It becomes just a part of who and what you are. So you want to develop these types of habits so you can develop very high level skills in the game of life. Now, what type of psychology can we use that we can also see in video games? Number one, set a timer. What do video games have? They have timers. You have a deadline. You have an amount of time in which you have to complete a specific task. If you do not do it in that task, in that time, what happens? You might die. You might have to start over, all the way from the beginning, all types of stuff. When you're working on a project, boom, deadline, and you're going to meet that deadline. So identify your goals and set a deadline for it. Even if you can do this from, lifelong goals, year long goals, month long goals, week long goals, day long goals for this hour, whatever it is, and put a deadline, set a timer, work on it, and you hyper focus on it. The distractions literally just go away. You won't even have time to pay attention to it. And a lot of people get into the idea of being lazy or procrastinating and stuff like that. I share this all the time. Neither one of those is real. Like, being lazy is not a real thing. Laziness is a projection of what somebody else believes you should be doing with your time and energy at the specific time, right? If you are, just lounging around, that's not exactly being lazy. You're doing what you want to do. Now, somebody else on the outside might look, oh, you should be, being more productive in the way I think productivity works or whatever. That's what laziness is. When it comes to procrastination, sometimes that's a superpower. Sometimes that's a superpower. Once again, that time limit that we see in video games, like, if you have this goal you have to complete, and it's not going to take you a very long time to complete this goal, but you give yourself 3 months to complete this goal. You're going to spread that work out over 3 months. You're going to half-heartedly do it, and you might get a good result in the end, but that work is spread out. Now, if you have this goal you have to meet, and you give yourself, boom, I got to finish this in a couple days, and that deadline is coming up. Imagine how much more effort and concentration and will you're going to put into that project if you only work on that one thing in 3 days, and you just consume yourself with it, and that's 100% what your focus is on. I guarantee you that's going to be a much better, you know um, outcome, depending on what it is, if you can just hyper focus on it. So a lot of times procrastination could be a superpower. So you know don't look at habits you've developed, or what other people, or how other people think you should operate and navigate through the world, because most people have no idea. One person's work is not the same as somebody else's work. And the outcomes and goals and stuff that you set, and the missions and side quests that are part of your path or whatever, will not be the same as somebody else's. So do what's important is that you are able to prioritize the goals, see the goals, right? And you have to set them. Once again, you can do this from, lifelong goal, year long, month, week, day, hour, whatever it is, but being able to see them, this is what the goal is. And that's the quest. That's the quest, right? That goal, whatever it is, no matter how big it is, how small it is, identify what it is. Once you identify what that quest is, and then just like a video game, now you kind of reverse engineer it. Now, what skills do I need in order for me to fulfill that quest? And it becomes a subconscious thing, just simply because you have that goal in mind, that outcome. This is the quest. If Mario didn't know that the princess got, kidnapped, what the heck would level one be? If he didn't see the goal, I got to say, the princess, the whole game wouldn't exist. He wouldn't have to go through all these different levels and adventures and stuff like that to reach the goal. So you have to identify what your goal is, or if not, your life has no meaning. That's why we stay glued to video games. That's why the video games are addicting, because there's always something to complete, and we're hardwired to complete different tasks, and to go on those quests, and to challenge ourselves so we can show up for the occasions. This is part of who and what we are. And like I said, life is no different, but you have to identify what those goals are, you know, and develop habits so you can see those goals. And the information which you feed yourself is what's going to allow you to develop your character, gain the experience points, level up, gain new skills, so you can have access to the new levels, new spaces, new everything, new items, new side quests and other characters to interact with. That's the only way that you can achieve any of that. If your mind is solely focused and contracted on a specific, thing, the same data, the same information every day, life becomes really boring. You're on level one over and over and over again, over and over and over again, right? But there's always this part of your spirit that's going to, yeah, new outfits too, new gear. The new gear is important, and like I said, looking at this is important. Looking at this, if you're a gamer, looking at this and using this psychology is amazing, and because it's the same thing. That's life. And the reason why we get so engrossed in a video game is because it literally feeds off of our natural instincts to fulfill quest. This is part of who and what we are, right? We do it in our own particular way. Some people might gravitate towards the mage, right? Some people will be the goblin or troll. Some people will be, the warrior, right? The different archetypes, and that's what makes us us. So the way that you achieve your goals and the skills you gain and how you get to that end goal is going to be unique to you, but you have to identify it, you have to see it, you know so in the beginning, look at the distractions that you have and alleviate the distractions. Identifying those is very, very important. So you look at the goal. This is where I want, this is what I want. Wherever you're at right now in life, identify the goal, right? All right. So from there, once again, what skills do I need to achieve that goal? Where do I need to focus my attention? What information do I need to consume in order for me to be there? So you kind of reverse engineer it. That's how you set up your quest. Literally, A plus B equals C. In order for me to do that, I'm going in that direction. And you don't have to have it all figured out, but as long as you have a specific goal, as you continue to work towards that goal and gain experience points, those experience points are going to turn into side quests, more knowledge, right? More skill, and even being able to see how to achieve that goal clearer and easier. You even meet people along that path, that will help you get there easier. So you're fulfilling your elemental balance of the spirit. So your social networks, right? Your willpower, that fire element, right? All these different things apply to this, but you have to see the goal. You have to see what the goal is, so you can build a type of psychology and then a bridge. So through that cognitive pattern recognition, right? That you can start putting the dots together and getting to where you need to go. But if you have no idea of what goals you want to accomplish, you'll never get there. You're just floating around. You're just a level 50 player that's on level 2 and just, saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm stuck in level 2." But it's up to you to make that conscious decision to move beyond it. you know and one of the most beautiful things is, like I said, look at the at video games. Like, once again, there's currency in the video game, and everybody knows if you have more currency, the game is easier. You can buy better items and more potions and all types of other stuff, right? But just like in video games, there's usually a workaround so you can get more currency easier than the traditional way that's presented to you. But once again, you have to present yourself with specific information that allows you to see what's there in order for you to connect the dots and to see how you can do it in a more quick and efficient way. The way that's presented to us in this physical reality: oh, go to school and get a degree and then work really hard and then retire when you're. And we all know that's like tutorial mode, baseline, whatever. There's a billion ways to do it and have far greater outcomes. Not saying that it's wrong to do it that way, but that's not the only way to do it, right? But the more you begin to read and study and to see that goal, the more you can, once again, develop the ability to recognize the patterns and see the different quests and stuff you can go on. And this is very, 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 very important to look at, because I share this all the time. Our mind, our brain, not our mind, but our brain can only process about 50 bits of data a second. We are bombarded by about 11 million bits of data every single moment. So the way that our brain functions is it gives us information based off of our belief and our referencing of the information that we have stored within our brain. That's how we experience reality. You do not experience reality as it is. You experience it based off your own frame of reference and the information that you've acquired through direct experience. That's how we experience life in every way, shape, or form. From the colors, shapes, from everything, the feelings, everything within our conscious awareness is a result of that. The bias lies in between that 50 bits of data that you are consciously perceiving and the 11 million bits of data that you're being bombarded with. And our consciousness picks and choose, or subconscious picks and choose the information that's important for us to decode what we're experiencing. So the information in which you feed yourself and you consume is very, very important, because that, once again, that pattern recognition, which is part of who and what we are and how we perceive reality, is going to be based off of what you consume, the information that you align yourself with, so you can navigate through life and perceive different outcomes. If you're contracted, oh my God, this is just what life is, and I know that everything in this way, and you develop the habit that your pattern recognition is stuck in a negative loop, that's what your life is going to be. Doesn't mean that's what life is. It just means that's the pattern in which your brain is recognizing. So that's what you get. But you can train this, you can develop this, you can make it work in your favor. So don't limit yourself, and learn, read something. The more that you learn, the more that you look at different levels of information, the more your brain begins to connect the dots, and you can have a much higher quality of life. You'll have a much higher ability to make money. You'll have a much higher ability to have greater relationships with the people around you, and develop even better relationships with people you don't even know, because of the information that you're giving yourself. If you're constantly bombarding yourself with the same information every day, you're going to live a life that does not fulfill you, because it's going to become monotonous. And that's what your life is going to be. So challenge yourself. We are built to experience challenges. They don't have to be hard, but there has to be something outside of our normal frame of reference. We thrive off of that. What up, Lisa? What up, Jay? We definitely thrive off of that. It's part of our built-in wiring of who and what we are. And that's why we love video games so much. It's a challenge. And the games that we find the most fun are the ones that we find challenging. But like I said, they're the ones that are they're challenging enough where, we can't just breeze through it, but they're easy enough that you can make it through the levels and get the outcomes and get direct feedback into what you're doing. Life is no different. So once again, the challenges that that you look at, and the goals and the quests that you set, have to be along that same line too. And nothing is outside of the human's capacity to experience life to the fullness. So you pick and choose what that is, and then you just show up for it. It doesn't have to be hard, but you have to make the conscious effort to see what the goals are, to set those goals and quests and stuff up, so you can start achieving the skills and developing, and the XP, so you can level up and unlock new levels of life. It's a literal thing. How do y'all feel about this? Lisa says, did I feel the quake? No, not today. I know a couple days ago it was like, I think we had like a 5.6 quake over here. Marivella says, so as a game creator, is that why we create the barriers, the catalyst of the thing that would get us to take action? Yeah, so so the higher parts of herself, this is the game creator, right? You can say the God self, the higher self, infinite intelligence, your guardian angel, whatever it is, so that's the game creator, right? And obviously, if you're playing a video game and you're not seeing success in the video game, you're doing something wrong, right? You're doing something wrong. You would never play a video game and just jump off the edge of the cliff. If you're playing Mario and you just keep walking off, there's no way possible you're going to enjoy the game. But if you say, "Oh, look, maybe I need to do something different. Let me jump. Let me run before I have to jump over this cliff, this abyss that's there or whatever." Then, oh wow, you make it to the next level, right? So, looking at where you're at, and what skills you need to apply, right? Because you have all the skills you need right now to make it to the next level. But if you tell yourself you don't, or you don't have a specific goal set in mind, then you're not going to get there, right? You have to be able to, once again, see the obstacle to be able to overcome the obstacle, right? And establishing that, where do you want to be? What do you want to experience, right? And I suggest for everybody, my biggest thing is journaling. Journal, 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 and write out your goals, year long, lifelong, year long, month long, day long, whatever it is. Write out your goals, right? And then from there, write out the causation chain. Okay, in order for me to, like, for me, one of my goals, it's I'm not even gonna say lifelong. One of the ones I'm going to complete over the next, year or two, is I'm getting my private pilot's license, right? In order for me to do that, I got to cross off, the medical certificate. I got to do ground training. I got to get my hours in, discovery flight, all that other stuff, instrument rating, all that stuff, in order. If I never say, "Oh, I want to be a pilot," then everything else, you don't even see it. You don't see that. It's not going to arise into your consciousness. It's not going to be a part of your experience. So once again, establishing the goal. What is the goal? You have to have that first. And I wouldn't, like I said, establish different goals and then prioritize them. And then literally prioritize them so you can start working towards the causation chain. And just like a video game, once again, once you have your goals and you have them set, this is the quest. These are the side quests. The main quest, this is my top priority. That's the main quest. That's the princess you got to save, right? So everything, revolving around your entire game, your entire life is going to be, this is the primary goal. From here, this is end game. This is where I'm going. So that sets the trajectory and the skills and the experiences you're going to have to get there, right? Then you have your side quests. These are the side quests I'm going to take. And you're going to branch off to the left and branch off to the right and gain different skills and stuff like that. And those skills may even help you discover back doors and cheat codes to get to that main quest. But if you never pick the main quest, you'll never have the outcome. You'll never see where to go you know so establish that, because the way that our mind works is once you have it, the resonance, just simply for the fact that you said this is where I'm going, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. The information, right? That information between the 50 bits and the 11 million bits of data that we're constantly being bombarded with, that bias, it changes and shifts towards that outcome, towards that goal. This is how I get there. But if you never establish it, you'll never see it. You'll never see it. There's a social experiment, right, where they came to the conclusion that literally, if you have no preconception of an item, a thing, you will never see it. It can be in your environment, it can be in your house. But if you have not experienced it before, you don't have an idea. The consciousness will literally not pay attention to it. But the moment you see it, the moment you pay attention to it, you'll see it everywhere. That's how our minds function, right? So establishing that goal and identifying what it is very, very important. The way you live, the way you acquire XP, the way you level up, the new areas that open up in life will equal what you need to achieve that goal. So establish it and then identify what it is. Very important, very, very important. Don't just let life just kind of pass you by, because it will. Time is very, very limited, just like in a video game. You don't have infinite time. That time runs out. Guess what? It's over. And you don't well, you'll respawn. It's not going to be in this lifetime. You're going to respawn and then in a whole nother realm. And now you got to figure out a whole nother game, And so just putting that out there. And once again, there's all types of different ways to do that. One of the things too is very important that you get direct feedback. And through a video game, one of the things that makes it very addicting is that we get instant feedback. Right? You achieve a goal, right? You achieve a skill, and immediately you can use that skill and you can see how that skill affects your experience and how it makes the game easier, or it helps you get through a different obstacle or unlock a different level. Same thing in life, so developing the level of awareness, right, of how what you're doing is improving the quality of life and improving your ability to navigate through life easier. It's important that you're able to see that, and for me is, I've always seen life like this. I can remember being a child and going through, the lessons and everything else, and through direct experience, that I literally identified it as, wow, this is the lesson I learned, the skill I learned, right? I leveled up, gained the experience points, and immediately how applying that skill or that lesson allowed me to have a higher quality experience, a higher quality of life. It unlocked a new level. And I didn't have to go through, the negatives of not having that skill. I view this. I can remember. I think I was like 7 or 8. Oh my gosh! I learned this. Boom, leveled up. Video game. There we go. And you're not limited in the amount of skills that you can acquire and develop. Intelligence, mastery, what up, Dr. O? Intelligence and mastery is not something that you remember, it's something that you apply. It's something that is just a part of your psyche that you ingrain in. Like now, people, I talk about the whole air element thing. People will read a million books and have no real world application. They'll just have knowledge, no real life, understanding or experience to implement it. Memorization and mastery are two completely different things. When you're in that flow state and you allow, the higher part of you to just go, think about, video games, that timing. If you're doing everything, you got to remember it and back reference and stuff like that, you're not going to be very good at that video game. But if you're in that flow state, boom, you don't even think about it. That pattern recognition, that part of our cognizance, our mind that activates when we're playing a video game. Same thing. That's mastery. That's what intelligence is. Is that it's not book smart and oh, I remember all this stuff. No, you take the information, you take the skills, you take the lessons, and you can apply it without even trying. It's a subconscious thing. That's what we're accessing, in order for you to beat the game of life, you know. So it's important for you to even look at your challenges that way. We can, when we're acquiring skills and XP and stuff like that, we have a limited amount of information that we can save. And if you're not applying it, if you're not using it to get to where you want to be, you will become overwhelmed. And that's what happens to a lot of people in life. They'll get to a point in the game in which they have, some people in some games, you can go beyond the level. You can go beyond where you need to go and start acquiring all types of stuff that you don't need. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people will gain all this stuff, right? And have all this information, all this awareness, and then no way to apply it because they didn't do the baby steps before and they're not using all the stuff that they've acquired over the last, 3 levels in order for them to unlock level 4. So we feel overwhelmed when we get, too much data input. You have to apply it. You have to consciously apply it in order for you to make it through the next level and to get to where you want to be. And remember, like the game not fun if you a level 100 player and you plan on level 20, the game not fun. So you have to meet the challenges that's on your level, so you can have a life of fulfillment, but you can only do that through applying all the things that you've acquired up to this point. It's how you level up. You don't level up being a level 100 on level 2. You can't. There's not enough XP. Been there, done that. This is easy, whatever. And most people will put themselves in jobs. They'll put themselves in level 2 jobs and they're a level 100 player. Oh my God, why is, so boring? It's not fulfilling. That's why. It's not challenging. It's a part of us that thrives off of that challenge. It's part of who and what we are. So for everybody, and I mean this for everybody, one of the things in my personal experience, I've had plenty of jobs throughout my life. I've had businesses, I've done all types of other stuff. And one of the things that has greatly benefited me is not being afraid to make it to the next level. And this is what keeps people in jobs that they don't like. This is what keeps people in professions that they don't like, in lifestyles and relationships that they're not happy in. Well, what up, Jake? And they're not, being fulfilled in. So embrace that change. See what level you're at. Or is your environment, giving you that challenge that you need to show up in that's fulfilling you, right? If not, you may need to change your environment, right? Or the people around you, helping you cultivate that? Are they on the same level? Are you helping bring them up to your level, or are they trying to pull you down to their level? So there's all these different aspects to really look at. You know, Playing Call of Duty and Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, I was 108 in the world in hardcore domination. You know, on PlayStation. 108 out of like millions, like millions and millions of people, literally, right? For me, if I play, I'm winning regardless. For the average person that plays, if your team sucks, you're going to lose. If the people around you suck, you're going to lose. They're going to pull you down. They're going to pull you down. Like, so are you that 108 in the world person where you can carry your team and bring them up and succeed because of that? It takes a lot to get there. A lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of investment, and even the willingness to bring those people up with you. Or are you still, that level 50 person and you're surrounded by people who are at a much lower level than you, and you can win and everything else, but are the other people around you, the environment around you, is that keeping you down at a lower level? You might want to change environments. If you spend too much time there, you're going to become worse. You're not going to get any better. You're just going to lose and get unenthusiastic about it and just give up. Life is the same way. The people you surround yourself in, the levels that you dwell in, and things like that, it matters. It matters. It affects you. It affects your psyche. It affects your decision making process. Once again, the information that you begin to process and the things and outcomes in which you recognize are possible. You can look at people that, like, I'm from the hood. I'm from the hood. There's people that drink and smoke all day and do all this other stuff or whatever, and their mind is so contracted they only see this is it. There's nothing else to life. I can't get a business, I can't do this, can't do that. The man is holding us down and all this other stuff. That's simply not true. But that's the information that they're constantly paying attention to. And then they reaffirm that. They're pulling each other down. Yep, you're right. It's really hard out here. That's it. You know. And this happens to everybody based off of who you surround yourself with, where you surround yourself, right, and how you engage it. But once again, getting rid of those distractions, putting yourself in and seeing the goal so you can get this expanded state where you can look outside of yourself. you know our belief structures are that's our box, whatever they may be. It can either liberate you or limit you. But once again, you have to look at, what skills do I need to gain to get to where I need to be? How can I change my psychology? Most of how we view the world is based off of our survival. It doesn't make it real. At one point in time, this is what you needed to survive. You know, I seen a meme earlier on the internet, and it was a woman, and her boyfriend's phone rang, and the caption on the meme was like, when you've never had a good man, and his phone was ringing, and he was like, "Hey babe, could you answer my phone?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" Right? Like, answer your phone. Like, what? Then she picked it up, and he's like, "Oh, my password is your birthday or whatever." She looked, and she was like, struck by it or whatever. Like, oh, and then went through that whole thing. But the data and information that she had been, you know, um, presented with through her past was, people that sneaky, I got something to hide. Oh my God, stay away from my phone. Put my phone in whatever else, right? And that's how she viewed her life in reality, is based off of that. And when you're presented with something else, it opens you up to a whole different reality. You know, a whole different reality. And you can apply this to everything that you hold on to as true. All your past experiences and stuff like that. That is not the totality of what's there. It's not. Thank you for the rose. It's not the totality of what reality is, or what life is or can be. It's a really, really small, narrow viewpoint and attachment and belief structure that, could, like, once again, it could put you in a box, or it can liberate you and allow you to fly. So don't take your past experiences, the past information and data and stuff that you live by, as this hardcore objective truth in reality, because it's not. It's not. Be willing to see through the veil. That's that Maya, right? We talked about this yesterday when we went through the 36 elements, right? Or the tapas, is that Maya, which is the veil of the divine nature of reality, right? But the ego, this character that we were given, not the one you designed, the character that you've been given, was taught that this is just what it is, be afraid, um, through our past experiences based off our survival and stuff like that. But it's much more to life than that. So make the conscious effort. Once again, set your goals, design your character. What attributes do you want your character to have? You're not bound to who and what you are right now. You're not. But to see who and what you are and where you are right now, that's your vehicle to get to where you want to go. You have to acknowledge, oh, I'm only at level 10. Okay, in order for me to get to 11, boom, what skills do I need to gain? And I mean that. For me, like I said, for me, growing up, I was super duper introverted. I had a speech impediment, didn't really learn emotional, intelligence or communication, really well. Didn't know how to express myself really well when I was younger. And imagine if I was still that person. And to a degree, I was that person as an adult. Even though I was doing music and recording and performing all over the place and everything else and still working with customers and everything, I was still super duper introverted. Now, guess what? I talk to people for a living. It's what I do. I teach people for a living, you know? So you can design your character any way that you want to. People play video games and they literally will give their character the best of everything. Gotta have this, gotta work and grind for all the equipment and the coins and everything else, but they won't do it for themselves. Hey Augusta, how you doing? It says, is delusion being biased? Um yeah, we're all biased. If you're in this physical realm, you're a dual bias being. There's no way possible that until you train yourself and develop a very, very high level of awareness that you can, transcend those biases. But those biases are what make you you. You use those biases for your survival. That's what makes you you in the beginning. You have to learn the biases in order for you to thrive in your environment in the beginning. But you get to a point in which those biases no longer serve you. You have to transcend them, right? You have to transcend them. And then, that's where life becomes fun because that's where all the realization, that's what awakening is transcending the biases that you've been programmed with, the character that was given to you. I brought up the game Warframe. In the beginning of Warframe, you can choose between like three different Warframes. You can't choose between, it's like 100 or something Warframes on there, right? And in the beginning, you can only choose between three. This is life, and the three options you have, you really don't have a choice. If you're born in India in the middle of the slums or whatever, that's your character. You have to learn how to survive in there. That's your biases. That's your box that you're born with. And until you get to the point where you can gain the level of awareness and skill where you can start to develop your own experience points and attributes, that's what you're stuck with. You're in America, same thing. Boom, this is your bias. This is a character in which you have to play based off your environment, your race, your religion, and everything else. And everybody has all these different base characters. So, like I said, and biases, and you have to transcend those. That's what awakening is. That's when you look, oh my God, everything that's been, taught to me and presented to me since I was born, none of it's real. That's awakening. And that at that point, that's the point in which you take control of your character and then you start designing the attributes and setting the goals and the main quest and side quest and gaining the skills and really start leveling up is that point there. Before that, you're gaining the awareness of that. You're gaining the awareness in which tutorial mode is over. Tutorial mode is completely over, and now you have control over it. And I'm absolutely amazing. You guys enjoying this very, very beautiful, really hot California day. you know, um, so what do y'all think about this? For those of you that's been with me, for this whole thing, once again, we're going through, life is a video game. How do you understand the mechanics of a video game? How do you, beat a video game? Because is there an end game to life? And there is. And in many traditions, end game will be, nirvana, the Tao, Christ consciousness, whatever it is, that's end game. So, if that's your goal, put that as that's the main quest. And I promise you, in your journal, if you put main quest, boom, nirvana, Christ consciousness, the Tao, whatever it is, then everything in your experience will amount to that. The levels in which you have to go through, the amount of skill, the amount of awareness in which you have to go through will equal that in game. Once again, if Mario never knew that Princess got kidnapped, then he would just be sitting, eating spaghetti all day, whatever. There's no mission. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to achieve, right? So you have to establish that, this is the main mission. And then everything else, through um, pattern recognition, cognizance, do you begin to see, all the information, put the information together, connect the dots, boom, these are the skills I need to learn, the awareness I need to apply, and you get there, Can you explain how our eyes are projecting from the inside of our brain? So it's not really our eyes projecting, right? So we have the physical senses. And yes, there's light coming into our physical senses. in order for our brain to process that. But once again, the amount of data that we're actually processing is very, very limited to give you a perception of what's there. Now, once again, the light of our mind is projecting, right? It's transmitting and receiving. And this is where the biases are, because that transmission is based off of the information pool in which you've acquired up to this moment, right? And then the receiving aspect is going to be the bias, right? So as you develop more awareness, more concentration in your eye consciousness, and more understanding of your reality, right? This is why all the monks and mystics and yogis say that life is an illusion. It's a literal thing, because you see life as you are, and you're data referencing and not how life really is. People that don't believe in magic and alchemy and anything like that, they don't see it. They won't. Why would they? It's not within their frame of reference. The pattern recognition to see the causation chains and what's really happening in their experience is not there, you know and that's what their experience is. Oh, that's not true. That's why so many people are conflicted, because whatever information that you feed yourself in reference, that's the frame in which you're going to view any situation, anything. you know I'm so far past politics. I was really deep into politics when I was younger, and once again, one thing can happen within politics, and you can look at the news headlines from the same source, and they'll have one for one side, and then they'll have that same exact event from another viewpoint. And then they'll be talking about the same thing, two different perspectives based off of the information in which you're attached to. Whatever your bias is, that's how you're going to see it, no matter what. That's how we experience life. So being able to develop a wider, more broad understanding of creation and experience and reality, you're able to see higher levels of truth in your experience, and then you're not going through this narrow bias type of experience, which most people do. Same way visually, it works that way. Visually, it works that way. You see things based off of your belief about what it is. The mind does not give you 100% information and data with all the things that you're experiencing. It's way too much information. The mind is very efficient and very powerful with its efficiency. Once again, you can Google it. We're constantly bombarded with like 11 million bits of data every single second. The mind can process 50 bits of data a second. So it picks and chooses what it is that you become aware of. And like I said, it's a lot of information out there. What do you want to perceive? Do you want to perceive the lower level of information? Oh, there's some, whatever it is, to, okay, this is higher levels of information. And that becomes your perception. People that stay in pessimistic states of mind and only see the negative in things, that's all they see. That's all they see, because that's what they've trained their brain to see, the patterns in which they recognize. Oh, that's negative. That's negative. Oh, life is negative, and that's what they live. When somebody that literally lives in the same household or next door can be, and they're going through the same situation and everything. Oh my God, this is beautiful. This is amazing. And if you're on Instagram, I know you've seen the memes and stuff where they're riding on the bus and somebody's looking at the side of the mountain, and the other person looking at the rainbows outside the on the other side of the bus or whatever, and they're saying, the same thing. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. And I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. And same experience. It's all about your view, and then once again, your frame of reference. So this is why it's very important. The quickest way to level up is study, read. The air element aspect, you have to be presented with new information. Once again, why do you think we're addicted to video games? Because there's constantly new information. There's always this new challenge. There's this, way that we can engage our spirit, we can engage our emotions, we can engage our focus, which is a part of our survival and a need, that we have within who and what we are, to do that. But you can pick and choose what those challenges are. You can apply that to everyday life, but you have to get rid of the distractions and be focused. Pick and choose the information in which you want to focus on, and then you'll start to connect the dots through your physical experience. You'll start to see new challenges, right? You'll start to see greater outcomes. And you begin to expand your awareness and your ability to navigate through life and with much more ease, and to even be able to share that with other people. you know if you're a content creator, if you want to create more content, read. You have to experience new stuff. You can't be single minded and this is just what it is and I'm a specialist and just this one thing, and that's going to get old really really quick. I often think when I did music, and my cousin hosted a concert with Isley Brothers, right? And in my mind, Isley Brothers, they've been performing for 40 years. And we all know that they're going to sing their most popular songs every single concert for 40 years. That gets old. Imagine doing that every every concert you go to, the same song, drifting on a mirror, 40 years. That gets old. Are you going to pay for it? Sure, whatever. But that simple act right there, it gets old. So you have to have new information, new something. I'm sure they do all their new songs too, and that's probably what they get the most fulfillment from is, oh, we got this new thing. Let's see if people vibe to this. Same thing with you. So, you know, this applies to, whether you're a content creator, just in life in general. And this is a practice for everybody, right? So when you journal, and then I suggest everybody journals. It's your quickest way to communicate with your subconscious mind and to align yourself with more data and information. But one of the things is to be able to see things from different perspectives with that information, right? So in your journal, what I want you to do is write to past self, right? And give your past self pointers on, and advice to get to where you want to be, right? Look at your present self and write in your journal, what do I need to program in order to get to where I want to be in the future? And then write as your future self and give current self pointers. And this ability to look at information from these different viewpoints, literally your mind is going to be bubbling up with all types of stuff. Oh wow, I need to do this. I could be doing this. And that's the path. So many side quests. You'll feel fulfillment. Oh, cool. I could do this. I could do that. And once again, the information that you begin to see through that pattern recognition becomes immense. You'll begin to see all types of things line up, and your subconscious, your higher self, your spirit will literally guide you to the correct skills and XP you need to gain to go to the next level. You don't want to stay stuck with the same information and singing that same song for another 40 years. It gets old. You don't want to be level 100 player on level 3. It's old. It's not fun. You're doing the same thing over and over. You know, and then that's one way to kind of break it down. And like I said, always be willing to change your worldview and your perspective. It's very important that you can see things from different perspectives. In the beginning, before our awakening, even like in the beginning of our awakening, everything that's part of your worldview has been programmed and it's not true or real. I'm not going to say everything, but 90% of it. That's why people call it awakening. Oh my God, I'm awake to everything that wasn't real, that I held really, really close and on to, and this was it. You know, so being able to shift your perspective, to shift your worldview, and to be able to look at things from these different perspectives, it's liberating. Thank you. um, so look at yourself and try it, and treat life like a video game. Really do it. Treat life like a video game, and level up. You got the VR goggles on. Boom. What are you going to do with your character today? Level up some way, some shape, some form. And I suggest everybody learn something every day, even whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, find a book, find something that interests you, and literally read it. It will give you a way to reframe your worldview, no matter what it is. I've read so many books that have changed and shaped the way that I view myself and just different topics and things like that. And you begin to see it, you know, once again, so it's been reading Atomic Habits. Yeah, and like I said, and make it habitual. Life can be fun. Beating the game of life can be fun, and there is an end game. It doesn't have to be this horrible. I got to work really hard and suffer through this. Whatever it is. It can be fun, but you have to cultivate those habits. You have to cultivate the right frame of mind and the flexibility of your mind to expand and not contract onto distractions, onto other things that, aren't serving you, you know. And like I said, Everybody's path is different. Everybody's goals are going to be different. The outcomes are going to be different. It's going to be relative to you. So don't look at other people's stuff and say, "Oh, they're doing this way." Why do they get to do that or anything like that? Because they're a different person. Their life is different. Their circumstances, the information they have, the skills, their XP, the level that they're on is different. So but you can take information, right? You can take advice, pointers, different types of psychology from different places. How can I apply this to my life? And experiment, try it out. Some things may not work for you, but simply because you went through it, and even if you failed at it, oh wow, I know that doesn't work, but I understand it. And I might come across people that they can use that information, that experience, so that feedback, just like a video game. If you try something, you jump in over the cliff, you can't get past the obstacle or whatever, boom, it didn't work. Okay, cool. Now I got to try something else, and you gain more experience through failing. Anybody who's ever been in business, there's nobody. I can tell you right now, there's probably 0.001% of successful people in the entire history of creation that didn't fail over and over and over and over and over until they became successful. That failure is what made them successful. They had to learn through their failure to know what works. That's how it works. So you learn, you apply, and say you show up to the challenge, and once again you apply that experience, those skills and stuff that you learn, and you level up, and literally you will get to new levels. New worlds will open up, new characters, new challenges, new side quests, new potions, new everything, you know, but you have to actually engage it like that, and see that, life as it is right now doesn't have to be that way, especially if you're in a space in which, you're not in a space of fulfillment, you know. So, I challenge you to look at that, and try that. For anybody who wants to learn, I happen to teach this, wonderful course on, how to see the rules of the game. So because there's different aspects of it, and in the course, right, going through hermetics, and this is really cool too because it's a more direct way in your character creation and how to reframe your mind, develop your mind and stuff. Because remember when we say the difference between the video game and the difference between life is in real life, there's a lot more distractions, right? In a video game, everything is catered to keep your mind focused in this kind of narrow viewpoint. There's very little distractions to keep you from not completing the quest. In real life, we have tons of distractions, right? So, number one, you have to develop focus. Meditate. That's what meditation is for. How do you develop the mind so it can be single pointed on a specifically thing? That's what samadhi is, single pointed concentration, right? And developing that, right? And seeing past the distraction so you can get to where you want to go. That's one aspect, right? And there's higher levels in which we go into like psychic development, right? And understanding, those core aspects as just a part of who and what we are. Most people have not looked at the psychology of video games, right? And how it feeds off of our natural ability to want to, beat a challenge and have fun beating that challenge. That's part of who and what we are. Life is the same, but in order to see that, you have to develop higher levels of awareness. You have to develop the right information, the right type of psychology, the right type of practice, the right type of skill to do that. That's what my course is all about. Level one, mastering elements. Level two, psychic development. You cannot understand the formless aspects that's not directly presented within your frame of reference and the information that you're bombarded with without interacting with it, without equalizing with it. So that's why we train our psychic abilities and clairvoyance and clairaudience and mental wandering and transference and stuff like that, so you can get to see the game of life from a different perspective, and that's the only way you can understand it to that level. um you gain all types of skills, and life becomes easier because all those distractions and stuff, they literally go away. When we're alchemizing our experience, right? Remember that program, the astral body, the operating system in which we're working with. You're purifying that. You're getting rid of all the unneeded information, all the bugs and all the viruses and stuff like that. Because that's what we are bombarded with throughout our childhood. Going into adulthood, all these falsehoods and these ads are popping up and all this weird stuff that's not ours. that we take on, all the ads, on the apps you put on your phone and stuff that you don't want. You just want to play the game, but it's like boom, and the king's trying to get out the water or whatever. That's what we're alchemizing. That's what you got to get rid of because it's unneeded information and data, right? And that's what we're learning through alchemy is how you get rid of that. The more you get rid of that, the more you get the streamline in which this is what the game is. This is the information that's important. These are the experiences I need to have and the skills I need to learn through your direct experience. And life becomes really easy. You literally begin to live life through your spirit, through being able to do that. It's very, very beautiful. It's a very beautiful process, and the game becomes easier. Imagine playing a game where it's just ads everywhere and distractions everywhere. It wouldn't be fun, but life is like that, but you can make life like that. And that's the basis of the beginning levels of the course. The higher levels of the course where we go into magical evocation and into Kabbalah, then you're learning the coding. That's when you can, y'all remember Game Genie? I'm showing my age, but back in the day when you had, the SNES and the Genesis and stuff like that, they had a Game Genie in which it was a little cartridge that could debug the inputs from the actual game. So it's a cartridge that you put the actual game in, and you can literally create your own cheat codes based off of this. That's what level 3 and level 4 is about. Magical evocation and Kabbalah is understanding the coding of life in which you can see how it actually functions and you can set those frequencies up. And it's very, very beautiful. You become a creator. It's as if you're writing the program, directly. And that's everything that I teach. It's a real interesting way to explain it. But, if you're a gamer, if you're into tech, it makes sense, right? So if you want to learn, check out the link in the bio. I even have it set up where the monthly feature for the master key course or whatever, I think I lowered it. I think it's like $60 a month or something like that. So you can join now, super cheap. You can have access to the entire video library. You have access to the group Zoom meetings that we're doing every week. I'm going to be posting a lot more content here on TikTok. And a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do a whole series on this whole concept of, life as a video game and really breaking it down and how you can apply the same type of psychology and knowledge into leveling up and completing all your quests and getting the outcomes that you deserve and even methods on how to do it. You know, I'll also post this on YouTube too. So like I said, if you're interested, check out the link in the bio. Also, for anybody who's still interested, there's still a couple spots left for our September Sedona retreat. It is in exactly 1 month. It is September 12th to the 19th. Um, I think if you still use, I think the promo code 888 is still active, just for that one. If you're interested, you can check that out. And it takes off like $888, but 7-day workshop. We're going through all the hermetic psychic development training, so you can develop Akasha, develop your awareness of light and all the higher metaphysical skills and stuff step by step. So it'll be in beautiful, beautiful city of Sedona. At a very, very beautiful, powerful time. It's a full moon, super moon, lunar eclipse, and I think it's going to be like 7 or 8 of us practicing. So there's a couple more spots left if you're interested. And like I said, if you have any questions, you can message me. There's payment plans. There's all types of stuff that's in it. If you're just interested in joining the course, check out the link in the bio. That's available for you. If you have any other questions, you can book a one-on-one or anything along those lines. Other than that, I'm going to leave you guys with this. I hope everybody has a very, very blessed and beautiful rest of your day. Enjoy playing the game of life. Enjoy the journey because it should be fun. It shouldn't be, this struggle. If you know the rules of the game becomes easy. But if you don't know the rules and you're just going this uphill battle. And yeah, also check out the Discord. Check out link in the bio, the Discord. There's, the community is on there. You can ask questions if you're going through your awakening, you're trying to develop your metaphysical skills and awareness and learn hermetics and alchemy or whatever it is. You can check that out and join us there. But until next time, peace. I hope you guys have a very, very beautiful day. Bye.